Destiny 2 is a game where there are a multitude of different activities requiring multiple teammates. The Raid, Master Nightfalls, Master Nightmare Hunts, and finally, Dungeons. Dungeons are essentially mini raids, which can be completed in a team of 3. They feature multiple encounters with specific mechanics and offer top-tier pinnacle rewards. However, they can also be soloed. That is exactly what this journey is about. Having soloed Crota in Destiny 1, while massively overleveled, I knew that I had to do this. This is my journey. The dungeon which I will be tackling is the Pit of Heresy, which was released with Shadowkeep. So let's get started. I load into the pit and with a stern step start making my way towards the chasm. I am focused, committed, ready for the coming battles. I carefully place myself to make sure I fall to the bottom and don't die. I even go as far as to not do it all in one drop, as I would usually do. As I make my way through what I could only imagine being the inside of an Xbox based on the amount of green light, I begin to think of a strategy. I reach the arena, look over my gear to make sure my loadout is what I want. I decided to opt for top 3 Sentinel for this encounter, because of its versatility, having both offensive and defensive capabilities. I am ready. I jump up. I place the flag for good luck, get my ammo and super, make my way towards the first pit, and realize I forgot to switch my grenade to the right one.
You serious?
Now as I make my way towards the first group of mobs, I will actually explain what the fuck I am doing. So the first encounter is a simple one. Around this chasm, there are a number of towers with different symbols. You need to kill 3 powerful mobs with the sword provided to you by a sword bearer. When killing the first pit keeper, you see 3 symbols at the back of the room. These are the symbols you want to go to. With the objective clearly in front of me, I set out for the first tower. Using the jumping capabilities provided to me by Bungie, I carefully make my way towards the objective, being mindful of the mobs as to not get overwhelmed. You see, although the mobs in this encounter are not difficult per se, they will fuck you up if you're not careful. Along the bridges there are also ogres. I spot one of said ogres on my way down and politely tell him to fuck off. For my weapon loadout, I decided to opt for the Izanagi's Burden, which is a very powerful exotic sniper rifle due to its perk, allowing you to load the entire mag into one shot. For my primary, I have opted for the Cobra Scout Rifle, and for my heavy, the Hammerhead Machine Gun, simply to help with disposing of the mobs from a safe distance. Sometime later I reach the first tower, I dispose of the mobs in the surrounding area and make my way inside. Here's the problem, however, I don't have a sword. I once again make my way outside and start looking for a sword bearer who can spawn randomly. And wouldn't you know, none of them spawned. Which is kind of funny. Because, whenever I do this with my friends, the bastards start swarming me. But now that I'm doing it solo, there isn't a single one. I literally searched for this cunt for 15 minutes. After some time of not finding a single sword bearer, I decided to venture a bit further to see if I could find one. I look back at the tower and see what appears to be one of them. Only to realize that the mob is actually the knight that I need to kill with the sword, looking like a lost child at a mall. So 15 minutes later, I finally decide to go back to the initial tower in which I acquired the necessary information in the first place, since there is always a sword bearer there. I politely ask him to borrow his sword and return to what is to become an epic battle. I am ready. I drop down, turn the corner. This is it, and he isn't there. God damn it! So I start looking around to see where he could have gone. I look down over the edge and I get his attention and return to the arena. As is tradition for a duel, I wait for him to arrive. Menacingly. The battle begins. I use the sword. Boom! A third of his health is gone. Trading blows, agile movements, followed by more blows until he is defeated. So now I make my way towards the second symbol. Again, same strategy as before. Don't die. As I politely tell a few more ogres to fuck off, and clear the mobs protecting the tower, I see that this time my enemy is the wizard. You see, for each of the enemies there is a different attack with the sword. The knight can only be damaged with melee attacks, the wizard with long range, and the with the block. So I keep my distance and do damage from afar, to not be utterly obliterated by Harry Potter's arc volley. In the room there are also Ron and Hermione, but I decide to ignore them because I can. As I am about to deliver the final, I run out of sword ammo, which means I will need to find another sword. Great fun. However, about a minute later the sword bearer spawns. Also, pay attention to how this fucker spawns within a fraction of a second. This is how they get you. 1 second prior, I am looking at this very spot, no one. Suddenly, this cunt pops out like his fucking Chris Angel. Are you ready? But I digress. I try going for a cheeky no-scope for the one-shot kill, it doesn't work, and now I am surrounded by enemies. While creating some distance between me and the enemies, I put down a barricade to keep myself safe. Suddenly, a second sword bearer spawns. I jump over him and load up my sniper. Upon hearing the sound of the Izanagi's perk being activated, the sword bearer decides to kill himself. A wise choice. After politely asking to borrow yet another sword, I dispose of the wizard and move on. On the way I say hello to a few more ogres and reach the final disciple. This time it's the Shrieker. I clear out the mobs and politely acquire another sword to begin the battle. Now this is by far the easiest fight of the three, since you need to hold block for the entire duration. And that's it. What's annoying, however, are the ogres, who fuck up your aim, so I politely ask them to leave. After the battle, I have to make my way to the tower with the green light. To the less seasoned Destiny player, this would seem like a very long walk. However,
a spoonful of sugar helps the medicine.
According to all known laws of aviation, there is no way that a guardian should be able to fly.
I gracefully skip over the chasm and land at the precise location in which I need to be. As you can see, there are a lot of mobs here. However, you only need to kill this one particular knight and the rest will despawn. Game design. With the first encounter done, it is time for Shrek's Swamp. This encounter is relatively simple as well. This is basically a series of corridors and caves which need to be traversed. At the end of the corridors, there are 3 doors, which you need to open with orbs that you receive from knights within the aforementioned caves. In the corridors, however, there are also 3 invincible ogres who patrol the area. I jump down and proceed to head to the first cave. I equip an exotic bow which allows for great mobbing potential, and a shotgun to deal with the stronger enemies. Having acquired the first orb, I start making my way towards the first door. Here's the issue. No matter which way I go, there is a Shrek patrolling the area. Fun times. After running around for about 5 minutes, I finally see an opening. Utilizing the advanced technique of skipping with the orb, I manage to deposit it. Afterwards, I run into one of the ogres and retreat to an opening in the wall. Mind you, I am now trapped. If I move out, I get lasered. Soon after, however, the ogre goes away, and I safely make my way into a nearby cave. After a quick detour and a wrong turn, I find the second knight. Popping my Avengers cosplay, I make quick work of the enemies. This is where it gets spicy. After dodging the ogres for another 2 to 3 minutes, I notice yet another opening to go and deposit the second orb. This was an elaborate trap. Not 2 seconds after revealing myself, I begin to be bombarded by lasers. Shit hits the fan. I pop my barricade, my health is low, knees weak, arms sweaty. There is only one way out. You see, when getting close to the ogres, they do a slam attack, which launches you. If you get launched and hit a wall, you die. However, there is a forbidden jutsu for this. I face my enemy head on. I know that this barricade won't hold long. I run towards Shrek, jump, and with frame perfect timing punch him in whatever this section of the ogre's anatomy is called so that I don't get launched. I manage to retreat into a nearby cave. Within the cave there are some thrall. I dispose of them and move on. I reach the third and final night, and once again I am swarmed by thrall. I proceed to give them the Titan greeting and acquire the final orb. The rest of the encounter was the same as before. Grab the orb, wait for Shrek to leave. After sitting in one place for what felt like a year and a half, I noticed another opening. The ogre had left. due to what I could only think of was an insufferable need to take a shit. The atmosphere is ominous, not a soul near. I place down the final orb, the door opens. The encounter is complete. Little did I know that I was led into a false sense of security. Suddenly, the lasers start flying at me. My health drops low, I haul ass and notice the second ogre is waiting for me. This is the end, I think to myself. But he ignores me. I can now rest easy. On to the third encounter. The third encounter is really the first difficult one, due to the sheer amount of bullshit that you need to deal with. Long story short, there is this door, into which you need to place 6 orbs, which are, you guessed it, dropped by knights. The whole time you are swarmed by mobs. In addition, however, you need to also manage the middle plate. If you don't stand on it, it will explode after a while and kill you. However, in order to get the orbs, you need to leave the plate. When you don't deposit an orb for a while, you gain a debuff, which will kill you if the stacks get too high. Quite a few things to deal with. I look over my gear, place my banner, and start the... I died when going for the first orb.